Frack on, everyone. Welcome to the episode of Frack The Canon. This episode, we'll be talking about Mandalorian and that awesome reveal, and also Disney Plus stuff that was announced this week. This was like this weird worth of week, and what else we're excited to see about Mandalorian. This is Frack The Canon. Alrighty, so as always, we are joined by my brother from the CJ McCree from Milwaukee.
What's up, everybody?
And Sara Bennett, Mrs. Future Chewbacca.
How's it going?
Tyler Weiss, what is up, good sir? How are you doing, sir?
Oh, I could be doing better, but I'm here.
Wow, ow. And last but definitely not least, Mrs. Kylo Renee. Renee, what is up?
Not Mrs. Kylo. I'm good. Hi.
All right. Well, first of all, before we start, I just want to show off this shirt I got. I like it a lot. Hot Pizza Ass. It's a podcast by this lady. It was pretty funny. It talks about mental health stuff. I think you guys check it. She's really funny. I should check it out. Yeah, no promo. All righty. So we'll start off with what just ended this Friday, yesterday. The Mandalorian. I personally thought I found myself a lot more entertained this season than season one personally. I'm not a big, as most of you know here, I'm not a Star Wars fan, I'm more Star Trek. But I found myself really caring for this story. And finally learning Baby Yoda's name, which I guess CJ said it's kind of racist. But I don't think it is. But anyways, what did you guys think about Mandalorian overall? What was your guys' thoughts? And did you cry as much as I did at the end of the season finale?
Did you realize you just alluded to a pre-recorded joke?
Shut up.
Yeah, but for the record, Grogu isn't racist. Baby Yoda is racist.
Yeah,
Yes, right, yes.
that's what he meant.
Against a fictional species.
Speciesist.
All right. So, all right, let's start with it. All right. Personally, I thought the first episode was amazing. It was the lone gunman. I'm like, this is a Western in space, which I'm like, I loved it a lot. I love that they brought in Timothy Olyphant to have the Boba Fett armor, which brought in back Boba Fett, but which I still think he's an overrated character. I don't nothing against the actors, just a character. I'm like, I don't get why the love for this character.
You never saw the Clone Wars, have you? I haven't either, but I started watching Clone Wars. But everyone in the fandom knows who Ahsoka is.
Yeah, I know of her because she was just everywhere. Like I remember when she first appeared, I'm like, who is this character? It sounds like she's pretty. She loved. She was cool, and what I saw in the Mandalorian. What else? Frack. Let's just go to that end reveal. We're just gonna jump forward. We're not gonna break the lead.
Okay.
That character that was at the end.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, don't watch this episode if you haven't watched Mandalorian.
If you were watching this episode, if you haven't watched Mandalorian, first of all, what the frack is wrong with you? Please like and subscribe, and please watch the whole episode. But
Nice plug-in.
But Luke Skywalker.
Are you a Jedi?
I am.
Takes Grogu back with him, which begs me to offer. In The Last Jedi, when he says he killed the students, did Kylo Ren kill his Baby Yoda, kill Grogu?
Here's my theory. May I?
Go ahead, yes, you got the floor.
I think because as far as we know, Ben Solo hasn't been born yet. So maybe he trains Grogu first before taking on his whole school of Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And before Ben Solo kills off the students, I think Grogu does make his way back to Mandalorian. Or sorry, what's his name again? his
Dan-
actual name is
Dan Dijon. Dijon.
Din. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he in some lucky way he ends up back to Din before that whole fiasco happens. I think.
He would still be like a baby though. Like he's already 50 years old. Like I don't see him
He's young
progressing.
for his age.
Yeah. Like he would still be like he wouldn't be able to talk. I don't know. I don't know what the leaps in his development are.
Yeah, I don't know either, but it's just a theory.
Yeah. I mean, I hope you're right, but
I hope so too, because
I don't know.
a lot of people would be very upset.
In my opinion, I think Grogu, one of two things: either succumbs to the dark side, like what Ahsoka said, and
Because of his attachment.
yeah, and ends up assisting Ben in killing the knights and wrecking stuff, or just dies at the hands of Ben, and that's why Luke is so heartbroken by all the damage done, because like you said at the time, well, Sara that said at the time he would still be like a baby, so it would just be like what Anakin did to all the younglings in the third prequel, but in reverse. That's sort of dramatic irony there, I think.
Yeah.
I think that just brings a lot more weight to why Luke is so sad in the new trilogy, and actually adds value to the new trilogy. It might be a genius way of trying to save it.
Yeah, because otherwise, he says there's no more Jedi in the film. So if he knew Grogu somehow made it alive, he probably wouldn't have felt that way. So maybe you are right, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Ahsoka is still a Padawan, right? She never became a Jedi officially.
But she's never been known, She doesn't make herself known.
I mean, outside of the cartoon.
Yeah.
And I want to back up a bit and just add the fact that I hate that Luke is in this series at all.
I second that. I second that too. I hate that too. Sorry.
Like The Mandalorian for me, like I actually really hated the end of this season.
Why? What did you hate about it?
Well, so the thing that made it so good was it was in Star Wars, but had very little connection to
the trilogy,
or any of it. Like it was its own thing, and now they're just linking it to things. And I mean, we just spent however long trying to figure out what happened to characters in the bigger picture, and I hate that. I just wanted them to be their own story. Like I wanted them to stand on their own. And what I feel like now, I'm worried about the continuation of the series, because what I wanted to happen was Mandalorian, Baby Yoda, buddy adventure. Like they land on these worlds, solve some problem, and then fly off. Isn't gonna happen. Like that's been broken. And I also hate the fact that the timeline with Luke being so young and Boba Fett being so old seems very like I can't like I don't.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't make that connection.
I didn't think about that either.
Yeah, you brought up an interesting point.
Boba Fett should be in his 30s. He's 10 years younger than Anakin, about, right?
True, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then when Anakin dies, he's about 40. So Boba Fett should be in his 30s. So
yeah. Sorry, I was just gonna say, in that same vein, like Darth Vader, when he takes his mask off in Return of the Jedi, he looks like he's 80 because of all the burns he had. So my theory on why Boba Fett looks so old is he probably had stomach acid damage from the Sarlacc pit. But then earlier we were talking
about Tatooine, right?
Yeah. So I assumed that's just why he looked like that. And the whole time I thought it was like right after Return of the Jedi, because in the first episode of the second season of this show, they're watching like the Death Star blow up for some reason. I don't know if it's like live news or like this is what happened. I don't know how many years ago. But just to leapfrog of what Sarah was saying, I agree with some of her notes about the show. I do prefer it to remain detached. However, my thing on this episode, the last episode of The Mandalorian season 2, with Luke showing up, the whole episode felt like it was written by a 5th grader. Like, stuff just happens. It just, things are moving quickly. It's just this moves to this and then this happens, great. And you know what? Me though, as like someone who enjoys the nostalgia and like the awesome fight scenes, I'm like, cool. Fan service, give me more. Give me. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
But it would have been an amazing way to end The Mandalorian. If this was just like, okay, here's how it's over. The Mandalorian is over when Grogu goes away with Luke, and that was the end. I'd be like, awesome. That was an amazing way to finish, because you guys, ended the mystery of who this guy is, and now you can move on to other stuff. But no, they're going to continue it for another season, and I personally wouldn't enjoy it near as much if it's just the Mandalorian by himself.
Right.
Yeah, I think what Sarah was alluding to was that like it couldn't, and I feel the same way. But I did find myself crying a lot. Like I just remember like tears down my face when. How did you guys? Because that broke my heart. That literally broke my heart when the Mandalorian takes off his mask. And like Grogu like touches it, I'm like I was in tears. That literally broke my heart, because I'm like, oh my god, he's leaving. He's leaving him alone. Like the fact that he went with Luke Skywalker was like, I literally rolled my eyes. I'm like, why him? But the fact that it could have been any of the Jedi.
Yeah, I honestly thought when I didn't make the connection with the TIE fighter. Whoops. But I just saw the cloak figure and thought, oh, maybe it's Ahsoka. But then I saw the green saber, the gloved hand.
Yeah,
I was like,
give it away.
I was like, no way. And both in awe and disbelief. And I just
I was just so pissed, because as soon as he flew in, like I was watching, I'm like, there's no way they aren't doing this.
Yeah.
And then it's revealed, and I'm like, what the F? Like, Mandalorian, this is the last thing I wanted. I also want to add that I looked up how old the actor who plays Boba Fett is right now, and he was born in 1960. So
he's our parent age. He's 60. Well, he's my parent
60
age.
years old.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. It just makes the timeline so weird.
It's up there with Harrison Ford, huh?
Yeah. And I don't mind him playing that character, but then set the Mandalorian in the future than it is.
So that's something that threw me off too. So like we'll go back into the main story overall, but I never knew how after the Empire had fallen that it takes place. But I guess it's just like, I'm assuming this is right after the Death Star. Like maybe not days, maybe months after. Like how long? Is
it after Endor?
Gotta be, right?
It has to be after Endor. It wouldn't make sense otherwise.
TJ,
I feel like this is post. I feel like this is post Death Star 2. One thing I did want to mention while we were talking about Boba Fett was the moment that I saw Boba Fett. I felt the exact same way. Like, that trailer for Black Widow, when the old like Captain Russia dude puts his outfit on again and he's like, it still fits. Like, and I saw Boba Fett, and I just like thought that same thought. I was just like, oh my gosh, like
you just see that belly hanging out a little.
Yeah,
I'm like, a fat shame, but
all right, I'm like,
we can't deny it.
Like, is this as badass as you think it is, dude? I don't know. Like,
that fight scene was cool though. That fight scene with the stormtroopers and Boba Fett. I'm like, all right, that's pretty dope. That's pretty badass. And it's Robert Rodriguez, one of my favorite filmmakers.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. But I'm like, okay, Boba Fett, that's fine. Okay, you know what? I'll take Boba Fett. That's fine. But I still think I don't know why people love him as much as they do.
Yeah, because in the original trilogy, all we get is that Wilhelm scream into the pit, right?
Yeah.
He's not the one doing the Wilhelm scream, but yeah,
Oh.
Yeah, close enough.
Short-lived excellence.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you guys feel, guys and gals, feel about Ahsoka Tano showing up?
Loved it.
You loved it?
That was my favorite episode, actually, because
Really?
it felt like the whole series at the end of season 2, or sorry, at the end of season 1, they're like, he's got to find a Jedi or whatever.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, it's probably going to be Ahsoka, and then that episode is like way different than the rest of the series. That's the most Kurosawa-esque
Yes.
episode of like the
Mm.
whole series, and it stands out. And shout out on that episode. There's a bunch of cool actors in it. One of which I want to shout out, not only the guy from Alien, but
Michael
also
Behan.
Michael
Yeah.
Behan from Alien, and also Diana Lee Inosanto, Bruce Lee's goddaughter, was the magistrate. So props to them. And Rosario Dawson was amazing as Ahsoka. So my only note on it is I just wish it wasn't so dark. Like, and if honestly,
Yeah.
if the whole show was like that episode, I would be like way more jazzed on it. But they went a different route this season.
To piggyback off of what Tyler was saying, like I was gonna mention like Rosario Dawson's acting specifically, to call that out, because when I heard like Ahsoka was gonna be in it, like I watched Star Wars Rebels. I haven't finished it, fan of it, and I've watched a chunk of Clone Wars too. I haven't finished that either, but I've become a fan of the character Ahsoka. And so I was like, well, you know, I mean, Rosario Dawson is awesome, but like, I don't know if she's Ahsoka, you know what I mean? But like, after seeing that episode, I was like, wow, like, that's Ahsoka Tano right there. Like, you know, I didn't see like Rosario Dawson. I was like, that's freaking Ahsoka Tano. Like, she nailed it, I felt like.
Sarah, Renee, thoughts?
Renee, oh,
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, Renee, you understand who she is?
She's Anakin's Padawan.
Yes. Okay.
But I know that through osmosis. Like I've never seen an episode with that character. I just know it through osmosis, social media, pop culture osmosis. That's who she is. But I have seen that final fight scene where she fights off Darth Vader. So I know who she is because it's just been like everywhere. But people, like, I just saw online, Instagram, Twitter, people loved it. I thought it was cool. I thought, and to go back to what Tyler said, it felt like very Kurosawa. I'm like, this feels like Yojimbo or Seven Samurai. Like, I'm like, this is very much, obviously, this was made by filmmakers who love that movie. I thought it was cool. My personal favorite episode was the one with Bill Burr this season. Like, I thought that was awesome. I thought that was the best one. My favorite.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
My favorite scene is like,
Hey, I'm just a realist. I'm a survivor, just like you.
Let's get one thing straight. You and I are nothing alike.
I don't know, seems to me like your rules start to change when you get desperate. I mean, look at you. You said you couldn't take your helmet off, and now you got a stormtrooper one on, so what's the rule? Is it that you can't take off your Mando helmet, or you can't show your face? Because there is a difference.
and then when he's fighting with the general.
See, boys, everybody thinks they want freedom. But what they really want is order. And when they realize that, they're gonna welcome us back with open arms. To the Empire.
I'm like, what? That is pretty dope. Well, I also like the scene with the pirates trying to get rid of them, trying to like rid of those whatever radioactive thing that was. The only thing that bugged me, and I found it a lot this season, is a lot of Deus Ex Machina. Like when the TIE fighters show out of nowhere to save them, I'm like, all right. And then again, this happened in episode 2, where they're trapped with that spider beast, and then the New Republic. I'm like, all right, there's a little bit too much Deus Ex Machina out of nowhere. I'm like, this came out of nowhere to save them. I'm like, not as good as the first season, but it's still it was still pretty like all right, it's fun. And then Cara Dune. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Second season definitely feels like it's more action packed.
I would second that. But any other thoughts about season 2 before anything?
I mean, like where season 2 ended, like I feel like it was alluded to earlier, like was almost like a good ending for the show itself. But and I think we can all agree on that point, but what do we think of, like, was that ending earned? After seeing these 2 seasons, was the ending of that they gave us, were this the end? Is that ending earned?
Yeah, because we had to stick through all those movies in order to see Luke Skywalker.
But that's fair. That's fair. But so to ask CJ, if you haven't watched the movies, like my parents haven't watched all the movies, would they understand that ending?
Who that is? Yeah. Because there's a lot of news. Yeah, there's a lot of new Star Wars fans who never watched the movies but watched the series because they heard good things about it. And the reason why Mandalorian is so popular is because it's its own standalone story. It's obtainable. I even had coworkers tell me, "Oh, I never really watched Star Wars, but I watched Mandalorian and I really like it. I get it." And I think that's for that ending, it's kind of, well, even for Ahsoka's cameo, but Ahsoka's cameo, that could be rushed off. Like, but for Luke Skywalker to show up at the end, it didn't seem fair. I mean, as much as I appreciate it as a fan, for newcomers, it's not.
I rolled my eyes. I really rolled my eyes at that scene. I'm like, okay, fine. I get, yeah. Like, can we please leave these guys alone? Like it's. I'm just sick of. It's my thing with Power Rangers too. Leave Mighty Morphin alone. Leave the Skywalkers alone. Like, get rid of, like, stop going to them all the time.
It feels like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sarah.
Was anyone else creeped out by the CGI too?
A little bit. It was.
I was too.
Yeah.
It's such a trip though. What they can do, because. And this begs the question, would they have gotten, if we didn't have the technology, would they have gotten away with recasting a young Luke Skywalker?
Sebastian
Stan, probably.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, but
But you know how toxic the fanboys are.
Well,
no.
They already kind of got away with recasting Han Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, for me, the events in this are too close to Return of the Jedi for how young they made him. So if they recast another person, like I'd just be like looking at that being like, oh my God, like that doesn't make sense. Like this is a totally different person. Like I think Han Solo is a little different because we don't have a point of reference of how he looked that young as much.
I don't know. I mean, Harrison Ford was pretty young when he was Han Solo. I mean,
I think he was our age. 33,
but it's like it's like they told us we knew he was Han Solo going into that movie. If they recasted Luke Skywalker when he came in at the end, they'd have to totally anime explain it to us. Like, hi, I'm Luke Skywalker and I'm here to save the day. Why don't you give me this baby here?
In addition to my statement before about the ending, it just really feels like a cop out. It really does.
I don't know. I wouldn't call it cop out. I just feel I would call it extreme fan service. It's just
which is a cop out.
Not all. Not all.
I think I really do think it's gonna go somewhere though, because I feel like because when I run into these kind of endings where it's like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, well, how else could they have ended it?
Yeah, like, it does beg the question.
It could have been else? Jedi. It could have been Ahsoka Tano. I would have. I thought it was Ahsoka Tano, but like.
But it makes sense as to why, because the attachment with Vader making the same mistake with Padme and everything.
Yeah. All right. Any other favorite moments? Let's stick to the positive. Any other favorite moments you guys had for season 2 of Mandalorian?
Let's see.
Well, I know everyone else, or the internet at least, hated this, but I thought it was so funny how Baby Yoda kept eating the eggs.
Oh my God, yes!
Like I just loved watching it. Be like, no, don't do it. It's her
Stop
eggs.
And I love the memes that came with it. They're like, oh, Anakin Skywalker killed younglings, but Baby Yoda can eat eggs and everybody's just fine with it. Okay.
Yes, because
The
baby
last
Yoda is
surviving
adorable.
egg.
I'm like, stop it, dude, stop it. I feel like stopping him. Like, stop it. No.
Yeah. I think
I love
everybody
the
can
I love the final one before credits as like he just like slips it in, you know, and he has that smile on his face. Like I still got this one though.
Like he was a brat too this season. Like when he stole the dude's cookies. That's
Yes. Oh, I want to
Yeah.
eat those macaroons. I wonder what
Like-
flavor they would be.
I don't know, but he threw them up. I'm like, that's adorable. Baby Yoda. Threw them up.
I cringed when I saw that.
I'm like, oh, so cute.
When kids throw up, I'm like, you're a mess to deal with.
Alrighty. So I'm assuming it's all Mandalorian talk that we have before we move on to the Disney Plus slew.
Well, do we want to talk about, like, aside from Grogu, the Grogu ending, how about the Dark Saber?
Explain it to me because I have no idea what that is. So you
So, oh, go ahead, Tyler.
Oh, just in a nutshell, whoever wields the dark saber is the king or queen of the Mandalore. That's it.
Yes.
yeah, that's all I got. But I guess that wasn't the case in the cartoons. You could just whoever like. I guess in the cartoon it was you didn't have to fight for it. You could just whoever wielded it. But I guess they changed the rules to be like you have to fight for it to get it back. According to what I read on Superhero Hype or
Yeah. So that's the premise for season 3. If they ended the season
Ooh.
with just that, or with that loose end,
Mhm.
I think people would have forgotten about that, honestly.
Yeah, that may have been a first draft. That might be why the whole Luke thing happened.
DJ Sarah.
I mean, I would have liked that better. I think there's this big emphasis on having these big season finales, and I'm like, just resolve a arc satisfactory. Like, you know, I don't need. It's like The Walking Dead. Like every season, they have to murder like 7 people to up the thing, and I'm like, can we just have like a season finale where they're like, oh, we grew this corn and we'll have a big dinner. Like it's. I feel like I don't need the big show to have a satisfying ending.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. I thought it was a cool addition. Like I said, as somebody watching Clone Wars and as somebody who's watching Rebels as well, like that the blade does show up, and so do those characters too, or Bo-Katan, as well. So I thought that was like a cool nod that they tied that around there. But it does kind of bring me back to what Sarah was saying earlier about like how one thing I enjoyed about The Mandalorian was how distant it was from the rest of Star Wars. But now they're kind of like, you know, loading a bunch of stuff in there too, which, you know, but at the same time, I didn't hate how it was implemented either, as I was saying it. But some of it felt a little, you know, and that's kind of why I posed the question about the ending, you know, did you feel like it was earned? Because some of it to me felt like it wasn't necessarily like it wasn't earned. It was just this cool thing that was in the show though.
Mm-hmm.
And what did we think about what is they called? The Dark Troopers? The Terminators of the series.
That can be defeated by an airlock.
I'm like,
yeah. Oh no, they came back from the airlock.
That's true. But it was kind of funny. You just like open the door. Okay.
But I always like a good faceless, intimidating bad guy. You know what I mean? Like Nazis in Indiana Jones, like stormtroopers in Star Wars, like just this thing that's formidable that you like don't have to know too much about, but you know, like you got to stop it and it's in your way kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, and I think they put. Sorry, DJ. I was just gonna say I think they just put so much emphasis on it because they wanted to show how freaking powerful Luke is, and that's all.
And that was the last thing I was gonna add. That I was gonna say was just it gave us an excuse to have like basically like the mirror scene from Rogue One, scene in Luke. You know what I mean? Which I was like, pretty sweet callback there.
Yeah, I just thought I'm just like, all right, if it's always the human error, they had droids in the Phantom Menace. Why make them human? Like droids are the way to go. Why make Clone Wars? Why make clones? And that's my only. I'm like, ugh, use guys.
It's losing army. It's because it's what the Emperor wanted. He wanted faction of. Never mind. You know, it's a callback to the prequels, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Only thing. So yeah. But all right. Final thoughts again for realsy this time. Final thoughts. Okay.
Well, I wonder what they're gonna do. I wonder how much of the of Grogu's blood they extracted and what they're gonna do with it. Do we have theories on that?
My theory was like, because they found that lab and they looked like ugly ass clones in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, is that like, is this their like write off explanation for Snoke? Like that was where my thought went.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because
that's what we
isn't
were thinking too, or like
because they're talking about midichlorians, right? They're
Yeah.
referring to
Yeah.
midichlorians.
And they kept talking about like a body, like finding a body suitable to accept like, you know, the power or whatever like that.
Oh, do you think that's why he comes up? Their clones are all fugly looking.
Yeah, like that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, okay, so like what, like 30 years of experimentation on this, like trying to refine this process or whatever. Like,
That's an interesting theory.
All righty. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Frack off.